My daughter Alice's hair is fine and soft, like holding a bundle of light in my hands. I'm braiding her hair into little pigtails. The financial channel buzzed in the background. Mommy. Anthony rushed over, holding his tablet. Look. The screen displays financial headlines. A massive, bold headline reads, Fu Group President Gavin offers 10 million reward to find mysterious woman from 5 years ago. Attached below is a blurry side profile photo. The resolution is very low. But I recognize it. That's me. 5 years ago, the hospital's disinfectant fumes stung my nose. Lying on the delivery bed, drenched in sweat, I was too exhausted to keep my eyes open. All I remember was 2 wrinkled little bundles crying in the crib beside me. The nurse held them up for me to see. Miss Sophia, congratulations, a boy and a girl, both perfectly healthy. I reached out, my fingertips barely touching their warm little faces when the ward door swung open. Tom, Gavin's assistant, entered. His suit was immaculate, his expression as cold as ice. Bodyguards followed behind him. Miss Sophia? Tom's voice was flat. Mr. Gavin wishes to terminate the agreement. The child will be raised by the family. The compensation has been deposited into your account at 3 times the agreed amount. He handed me a check. The number was followed by a string of zeros. It hit me like a sledgehammer. My throat went dry. Agreement? My mind went blank. All I remembered was signing a document when I was cornered, needing a huge sum to save my grandmother's life. Child. I struggled to sit up. Tom placed the check on the nightstand. Mr. Gavin doesn't want any further complications, he stated matter-of-factly. Miss Sophia should take the money and disappear completely. The bodyguard stepped forward, radiating silent authority. The nurse held the child, looking at me with a troubled expression. Outside the window, the sky hung heavy and overcast. I closed my eyes, feeling something inside me shatter. When I opened my eyes again, only ice remained in my vision. I've taken the money, my voice rasped hoarsely. But you're not taking the child. Tom's brow furrowed. Miss Sophia, this isn't part of the agreement. Agreement? I tugged at the corner of my mouth, probably smiling. You can try snatching him by force. My gaze swept over the 2 bodyguards before fixing on Tom's face. Gavin's a major corporation. I doubt they'd want tomorrow's headlines reading, CEO forcibly seizes infant, drives mother to insanity, right? The air froze. The nurse held her breath in terror. Tom stared at me as if assessing a dangerous object. Finally, he took a step back. Miss Sophia, take care of yourself. He left with his people. In the empty hospital room, only 2 babies remained, exhausted from crying and now fast asleep. I watched them. So small, so fragile. Grandma is gone. Money couldn't save her life. All I have left are these 2 little lives. I wiped the wet traces from my face. Sophia, starting today, you must live like a rock. Hard, and able to endure. 5 years. Enough time for a person to transform completely. I took that money back then. No fuss. Money is a good thing, especially when you're carrying 2 hungry mouths to feed. I used it to pay off the debts from my grandmother's medical bills and rented a small apartment. The rest? I managed it carefully. By day, I work the cash register at the supermarket. By night, after the kids are asleep, I open that second-hand laptop. The keyboard clicks and clacks. I write stories. Write anything. The domineering CEO falls for me, the underdog's path to immortality, the stand-in princess goes on a killing spree. Whatever's trending in the web novel market, I study it and then write it. Pen name, Felicity. At first, the royalties were pitifully low. After paying rent and utilities, buying formula and diapers, there was barely any money left in my pocket. Instant noodles became my staple food. But I wasn't afraid. Alice and Anthony grew day by day. They were well-behaved children who rarely cried. Alice was always smiling, like a little sun. Anthony was precocious, observing everything with an inquisitive eye. Days slipped by to the rhythm of keyboard clicks and children's laughter. 3 years later. My pen name had made a name for itself in the online fiction community. Felicity became a gold standard. My inbox overflowed with editors' requests for new work. The numbers in my bank account were finally no longer barely scraping by. We moved out of our cramped apartment into a bright, spacious 3-bedroom home. There's a garden downstairs where Alice and Anthony can run wild. No one knows who I am. Online, there are only rumors that Felicity is a mysterious big shot with a temper, never seen in public. It's fine. I'm enjoying the life of an ordinary person. Except for those rare moments when I see that stern face on the cover of some financial magazine, and my heart sinks uncontrollably. Gavin. The head of the Foo Group. He stands like an insurmountable mountain, towering above the clouds. He's none of my concern. As long as he doesn't come to disrupt our lives. Mommy? Alice's voice pulled me out of the icy memories. She tilted her little face up, her big eyes reflecting the glow from the TV screen. Why is that uncle on TV looking for the lady in the photo? Anthony leaned in too, his little brow furrowed. He glanced at the TV, then at me. Mommy, he pointed at the blurry profile, that lady looks just like you. My heart skipped a beat. I turned off the TV. The screen went black in an instant. It wasn't Mom. I stroked their heads, trying to keep my voice steady. There are lots of people who look alike in this world. Okay, your braids are done. Go play. Alice hopped off the stool and ran off to build with blocks. Anthony didn't move. He looked at me with eyes like a little detective. Mommy, he whispered, is that man a bad guy? How should I answer? Say he's their biological father? Say he dismissed me back then like I was some troublesome item? He's not a bad person, I crouched down, meeting his eyes levelly. Just a stranger. He has nothing to do with us. Anthony nodded with a look of half-understanding, then ran off to play with his sister. I watched their carefree silhouettes. My fingers curled unconsciously. No. This peaceful life must not be disrupted. Gavin's bounty dropped like a boulder into the lake. 10 million. Enough to drive countless people mad. Online, all sorts of clues began surfacing. Someone dug up the women who had appeared around Gavin 5 years ago. Some analyzed the angle and background of that blurry photo. My name, Sophia, also surfaced in certain so-called insider leaks. But it was quickly drowned out. After all, Sophia is far too common a name. As usual, I dropped my child off at kindergarten. The newly relocated kindergarten boasts a pleasant environment and tight security. The teachers are very responsible. I tried to keep a low profile, wearing the plainest t-shirt and jeans, with no makeup on. Miss Sophia, my homeroom teacher, Ms. Lee, called out to me with a gentle smile. I'd like to discuss something with you. In the office. Miss Sophia, Ms. Lee said, her tone tinged with both exasperation and amusement, Anthony is just too clever for his own good. My heart skipped a beat. Did he get into trouble? No, no, Teacher Lee quickly waved her hands. It's good news. The city is holding a Sprout Cup Children's Fun Programming Competition, and our kindergarten signed up. We originally planned to have the senior class form a team to participate, but Anthony, he worked alone during his lunch break on the classroom computer and built the entire prototype for the competition entry. I was stunned. Programming? He's only 5. I knew he liked tinkering with his tablet, but I just assumed he was watching cartoons. The teachers were all amazed. Ms. Lee's eyes lit up. This child is absolutely gifted. The kindergarten wants him to represent us in the competition. What do you think? I hesitated. Entering the competition meant exposure. Does Anthony want to go himself? I asked. Mr. Lee smiled. That boy, his eyes are sparkling. I think he's eager to give it a try. On the way home. Anthony's small hand clutched mine. "Mommy," he looked up at me, his big eyes brimming with hope. "I want to enter the competition. I want to win the championship." Alice bounced beside us, cheering, "Big brother is the best. Go, big brother." Seeing the pure light in my son's eyes, all my worries and concerns suddenly felt light. He should have a life of his own. "Okay." I squeezed his little hand. "But promise Mom you'll do your best and not push yourself too hard. Okay?" Anthony nodded vigorously, his smile beaming. The competition was held at the City Youth Center. The venue was quite crowded, parents, children, and reporters carrying cameras. I sat in the back row of the audience, wearing a baseball cap with a mask covering most of my face. Alice sat beside me, swinging her little feet nervously as she watched the stage. The competition format involved live debugging and optimization of their projects, followed by a presentation and explanation. Anthony, the youngest and smallest among the group of older kids, stood out prominently. Yet on stage, facing the computer and presentation screen, his small face was focused and his operation smooth. That composure and confidence didn't seem like it came from a 5-year-old. A few low murmurs of astonishment drifted from the judges' table. Final demonstration segment. Anthony clicked to run the program. The screen lit up. A vibrant interface appeared. "This is my travel assistant," Anthony's voice boomed through the microphone, crisp and clear. "It automatically plans routes based on your destination, and even shows weather forecasts and attraction details." He typed in Ocean Park. Instantly, an optimal route map appeared on the screen, accompanied by real-time weather updates and brief introductions with cartoon images of several popular attractions within the park. "Wow," came a chorus of excited gasps from the children below the stage. The judges whispered among themselves, nodding frequently. "Young man," one judge asked with a smile, "did you design the core algorithm for this program yourself?" "MHM." Anthony nodded. "I referenced some open source code, but the core path planning and information retrieval logic are all my own work." Applause erupted. The outcome was no surprise. Anthony took home the gold trophy for the Sprout Cup. Flashbulbs kept flashing at him. I immediately got up, briskly made my way against the crowd to the edge of the stage, shielded the excited Anthony and Alice with my arms, and pulled down my hat brim. "Congratulations." A man carrying a camera approached. "That kid is amazing. Could we interview the parents? How did you raise such a gifted child?" The microphone nearly jabbed into my face. I sidestepped to avoid it, pulling the two children closer to me. My voice muffled behind the mask, "Sorry, I'm not giving interviews." "Don't be so stingy. Share some tips." "Sorry, excuse me." I shielded the children, trying to push through the crowd. "Anthony." Another female reporter pushed her way through with a voice recorder, firing questions at rapid-fire speed. "Netizens discovered that the computer you used for the competition logged into the work backend of renowned web novel author Felicity. What is your relationship with Felicity? Is she your tutor? Or, the computer I use for competitions is actually my old, retired laptop. For convenience, I occasionally use it to look up information, log into backend systems, and handle simple tasks." Anthony said he needed to use the computer for his project that day, so I gave him the password. "I thought of everything, except this." "I don't know." Anthony was held tightly in my arms, his little face blank with confusion. Reporters swarmed closer like sharks sensing blood. "Sweetie, don't be scared. Tell Auntie." "Ma'am, please answer." A barrage of questions came flying. Flashbulbs flashed so brightly it hurt to open her eyes. Alice, clutched in her arms, was startled and burst into tears. "Stop filming. Get out of the way." I barked, blocking the camera with my body. I scooped up Alice, grabbed Anthony's hand, and charged toward the exit. The crowd instinctively parted, intimidated by my force. I rushed out with the children. Cold wind filled my lungs. My heart sank to the bottom. It's over. Food Group Headquarters Tower. Top floor CEO's office. Beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows lay the bustling city skyline. Gavin stood at the window, his back straight as a cold, rigid sculpture. The office door opened quietly. Tom hurried in, holding a tablet, his pace slightly hurried. "President Gavin," he said, his voice strained with excitement, "we have a lead." "A major lead." Gavin slowly turned around, his gaze sharp as a hawk's. "Speak. Take a look at this." Tom handed over the tablet. The screen displayed a live replay of the Sprout Cup Children's Programming Competition Awards ceremony. The camera shakes, focusing on the face of a young boy cradling a trophy. Those eyes. Gavin's pupils suddenly contracted. The resemblance. It was uncanny. Like a carbon copy of his childhood photos. "This child's name is Anthony, 5 years old," Tom said quickly. "His mother is Sophia." "We checked, it's the very same Miss Sophia from back then." Gavin's breath caught for a moment. Sophia. The name had lain buried deep within his heart for 5 years. And here's the crucial part. Tom slid his finger across the tablet, pulling up another technical report. During the competition, a reporter discovered that the computer this kid was using had logged into Felicity's IP address. Felicity? Gavin recognized the name vaguely. A film company under the Food Group was eager to acquire the rights to several works by this mysterious online literary sensation at a premium price. That's right. Our tech team cross-referenced and confirmed it. The physical address logged in the backend matches Miss Sophia's current residence exactly. She is Felicity. Tom's voice carried disbelief. Gavin stared at the small boy on the screen, wearing a proud smile after winning the award. Anthony. His son. And Felicity. The mysterious woman who had sent his elite team packing. Where is she? Gavin's voice was low, devoid of emotion. We've just left the competition venue with the 2 children. Our people have already followed to ensure their safety. Tom paused. President Gavin, now. Gavin's gaze drifted out the window. 5 years. He'd searched for her for 5 years. A $10 million reward, countless resources deployed, all to no avail. Never did he imagine she'd be right here in this city, in some hidden corner, raising their child, and now a red-hot internet novel sensation. Prepare the car. Gavin uttered the 2 words, turning to grab his suit jacket from the back of the chair. Yes, sir. Tom responded immediately. Downstairs in the apartment building. I gently laid Alice, who had cried herself to sleep, into her little crib. Anthony stood silently beside us, his small hand twisting the hem of his shirt. Mommy, he said in a tiny, tearful voice, I'm sorry. I didn't know using the computer would. I closed the door to the children's room. Only my son and I remained in the living room. I crouched down, looking at his reddened eyes and little face etched with guilt. My heart felt like it had been wrenched. It's not Anthony's fault, I said, pulling him into my arms and gently patting his back. It's because Mommy didn't protect you well enough. Anthony lay on my shoulder, his small body trembling slightly. Mommy, he asked in a muffled voice, will those bad guys come back? That uncle on TV who was looking for people, is he? I sighed. There was no hiding it anymore. Anthony, Alice, I looked into my son's clear eyes, that man on the TV, he might be your father. Anthony jerked his head up, his eyes wide as saucers. Dad? The word felt foreign and distant to him. MHM. I nodded. But that was in the past. Now he's just a stranger. Mom doesn't want him disrupting our lives. Is he a bad person? Anthony asked again. Mom doesn't know, I answered truthfully. A long time ago, he did some things that made Mom very sad. But now, Mom just wants him to stay away from us. Anthony nodded vigorously, though he seemed to only half understand. Mommy, don't be scared. I'll protect you and my little sister. I gently rubbed his little head, my heart aching yet filled with warmth. The phone rang abruptly. An unfamiliar number. Local area code. I stared at the digits, my heart inexplicably racing. It rang 3 times. I answered. Hello? My voice was as calm as possible. There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the line. A deep, piercing male voice rang out, its oppressive pressure palpable even through the static. Sophia. My breath caught for a moment. It was him. Gavin. My fingers tightened around the phone, knuckles turning white. Mr. Gavin. My voice was as cold as ice. Our first conversation in 5 years. I'm downstairs. His tone brooked no argument. Come down and talk. We have nothing to talk about. I refused outright. Please have Mr. Gavin leave. Sophia, his voice grew deeper, about Anthony and Alice. My heart sank. He found out after all. The child is mine. My tone was firm and decisive. Mr. Gavin, the agreement ended years ago. The money and goods were settled. Please honor the terms. A faint, cold snort came through the phone. I'll get to the bottom of what happened back then, he said, his voice carrying the authority of a superior. Now, come down immediately. Or I'll come up. I looked out the window. Below, a sleek black sedan sat motionless in the night. Several tall figures stood before it. The glass doors at the apartment building entrance swung open. A man in a security uniform peered inside, looking somewhat tense as he glanced my way. We'd been infiltrated. I had no doubt Gavin could appear at my doorstep in an instant. He was capable of it. I took a deep breath. Okay, I said into the phone. Wait there. I hung up. Crouching down, I looked at my son, his face tense with worry. Anthony, be a good boy. Stay home and watch your sister. Lock the door. Mommy will be downstairs for a little while. I'll be right back. Mommy. Anthony grabbed my hand, his big eyes filled with worry. Don't be afraid, I managed a small smile. Mommy's got this. Downstairs. The night breeze blew by, carrying a hint of coolness. The black Rolls-Royce Phantom resembled a beast lying in wait. The door opened. Gavin stepped out. 5 years had passed. He had grown taller, his posture still as straight as a pine tree. A perfectly tailored dark suit accentuated his broad shoulders and long legs. His brow bones were sharply defined, his nose high and straight, his thin lips pressed tightly together, and his jawline was taut with a certain cold hardness. Time had left little trace on his face, only deepening its sternness and imposing aura. He looked at me. His gaze was as sharp as a scalpel, as if it could dissect me from the inside out. Sophia. He spoke, his voice clear in the still night. I didn't move. From several meters away, I stared at him coldly. As if looking at a stranger. Mr. Gavin. My voice remained flat. Get to the point. He took a step closer. The scent, a blend of crisp cedar and aggressive dominance, was overwhelming. I instinctively took half a step back. About the child, he said, looking down at me with a scrutinizing gaze, why didn't you tell me? Tell you? I curled my lips into a cold smile, as if I'd heard the funniest joke. Tell you, and then what? Just like 5 years ago, have your assistant wave a check in my face? Or simply have someone take care of me and bring the child back? Gavin's brow furrowed. Back then, Tom handled things poorly. Handled things poorly? I cut him off, 5 years of pent-up emotion churning in my chest. You think one phrase like handled things poorly will let you brush it off? Gavin, when my grandmother was lying in the ICU waiting for money to save her life, I just signed an agreement I didn't even fully understand. I thought it was some kind of high-paying medical experiment. My voice rose uncontrollably. I just gave birth, barely made it back from the brink of death, and your people stood by my bed telling me to take the money and get lost, that the child belongs to you. You tell me this is inappropriate handling? Gavin's gaze darkened, like a bottomless, icy pool. That agreement. Don't mention that agreement to me. I snapped, my chest heaving violently. I don't care what the hell that agreement is. All I know is, I risked my life to give birth to these children. I spent 5 years raising them, cleaning up their messes. They never drank a drop of your water, never spent a penny of your money. What gives you the right to stand here questioning me now? In the night, my voice rang out with desperate sharpness and finality. Gavin, I'm telling you, those kids are my life. You'll have to step over my dead body if you want to take them away. The air was deathly still. Only my own rapid breathing echoed. Gavin stared at me, his deep eyes churning with complex emotions. Shock, scrutiny, and a hint of a tremor I didn't want to examine. He remained silent for a long time. Sophia, his voice dropped to a low murmur, tinged with an unprecedented gravity, I will give you an explanation for the past. But right now, the child needs a father. They don't need anyone else. I retorted immediately. I'm enough for them. Is that so? Gavin's gaze sharpened. What about Felicity? Your cover is blown. Do you really think those fanatical book fans, the competitors lying in wait, and the ever-present media will leave you and your child alone? How long can you protect them all by yourself? His words pierced through my feigned composure like ice picks. Yes. The truth about Felicity had been exposed. The days of calm were finally over. That's my business, I gritted out, refusing to show weakness. It's my business too, Gavin said flatly. Because they're my children. He took a step forward, closing the distance abruptly. The intense pressure nearly suffocated me. Sophia, he said, meeting my eyes, give me a chance. What opportunity? The chance to make amends. His gaze grew intense. To make amends to you. I don't need it. And, he paused, the chance to be a father. The night wind tousled my hair. I looked at him, that face that could turn heads, and beyond the sheer dominance, there seemed to be a hint of, an almost imperceptible plea? Ridiculous. Gavin pleading? Mr. Gavin, I took a step back, creating distance between us, my voice returning to its icy tone, your chance isn't something I can grant. The children have the right to choose. Until they're willing to accept you, please keep your distance. I turned away, refusing to look at him. This is my limit. Behind me, silence fell. Without looking back, I walked straight into the building entrance. The moment I closed the door, I leaned against the cold metal, every ounce of strength drained from my body. My fingertips trembled slightly. The kindergarten is holding a parent-child sports day. Anthony and Alice have both signed up. The event is the three-legged race. Mom. You have to join. Alice clung to my leg, whining, I want to run with Mom and my brother. Anthony also looked at me expectantly. The refusal stuck in my throat. All right. I ruffled their hair. On the day of the sports meet, the sun was shining brightly. The playground was bustling with children and parents. I was wearing sweatpants, my feet tied together with Anthony's and Alice's. 1, 2, 1, 2. Anthony chanted the rhythm. The three of us staggered forward, Alice giggling all the while. Alice. A slightly haughty female voice rang out. We stopped. A meticulously dressed woman walked over, holding the hand of a little girl about Alice's age. The girl wore a designer puff-skirted dress, her chin held high. I recognize this woman. Cora. She's the daughter of my distant cousin, making her my cousin by generation. Back when my grandmother was gravely ill and we were at our wits' end, the first person we thought to ask for money was my relatively well-off cousin. That day, Cora answered the door. She'd just gotten her nails done, and they sparkled brightly. Borrow money? She looked me up and down in my faded clothes, her eyes dripping with contempt. Sophia, no offense, but your grandma's illness is a bottomless pit. My dad didn't just find money blowing in the wind. She stood in the doorway, showing no intention of letting me in. "Cora, please," the doctor said, "if we don't operate soon." I pleaded humbly. "The surgery costs hundreds of thousands," she exclaimed dramatically. "Even selling you wouldn't cover it. Besides, you're just an orphan street urchin, how would you ever pay it back?" She slammed the door shut. The cold door panel nearly hit my nose. Through the crack came her whiny voice, "Dad, ignore her. She's bad luck." Those memories stabbed at me like needles. "Oh, isn't this Sister Sophia?" Cora approached, her bright lip gloss-coated lips curling into a fake smile as her gaze swept over me and the two kids in our plain tracksuits. "Bringing the kids out to play? The place might be a bit rough around the edges, but it does fit your, well, spending habits, doesn't it?" The little girl beside her, Ella, immediately mimicked her mother and made a face at Alice, "Penny pincher." Alice's little face instantly fell, and she hid behind me with a look of hurt. Anthony clenched his little fists and stood in front of me. Cora pretended not to notice and went on talking to herself. "Oh, Sophia, no offense, but if you'd listened to me back then and married a rich man, things would be so much better. Look at you now, raising two kids all by yourself. It's so hard. This life, ugh." She shook her head dramatically, her face full of pity. "Aunt Cora," Anthony suddenly piped up, his voice crisp and curious, "why is your mouth painted so red? Like you just ate a dead mouse?" Several parents nearby couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. Cora's face flushed instantly, as if she'd been slapped. "How dare you speak that way?" she snapped, furious. "Sorry," Anthony said innocently. "Aunt Cora, I was just curious. My teacher says if you don't understand something, you should ask." Alice peeked over my shoulder and whispered, "Brother, the teacher also said not to judge by appearances. Aunt Cora might look fierce, but she probably has a kind heart, right?" Pfft. Another burst of stifled laughter. Cora's lips trembled with fury as she pointed at us. "Sophia. Look at the fine young people you've raised. Utterly ill-mannered." "Cora," I said calmly, meeting her gaze, "whether my children are well-mannered is not for you to judge. As for your manners, 5 years ago, when you slammed the door in my face, you made them abundantly clear." Her face turned from red to white. The surrounding murmurs grew louder. "So you two know each other? That woman's so sharp-tongued. She treats children like that too." Cora couldn't bear the embarrassment any longer. She grabbed her daughter and started to leave. "Ella, let's go. We're not staying with such uncivilized people." "Wait." A deep, magnetic voice cut through the air. Everyone turned toward the sound. At the entrance to the playground, a figure walked toward them against the light. Tall and straight, noble and dignified, radiating an overwhelming presence. The crowd automatically parted to make way. Gavin. He wore a perfectly tailored dark gray casual suit, standing out starkly against the bustling playground. Sunlight outlined his sharp profile. He walked straight over to us. His gaze swept over Cora and her daughter. The look held no warmth, yet it instantly froze Cora in place, her face turning ashen. Gavin's eyes then fell on Anthony and Alice beside me. They softened for a moment. "Daddy." Alice's eyes lit up as she called out in a clear, high-pitched voice. The entire room fell silent. Every pair of eyes turned toward her instantly. Cora looked as if struck by lightning, her mouth gaping wide enough to swallow an egg. Gavin gave a slight nod, his gaze shifting to Cora. His voice was not loud, yet it carried clearly to every ear present. "Was it you who just said my child is ill-mannered?" Cora's legs buckled, nearly bringing her to her knees. "President Gavin, I didn't know," she stammered incoherently, her face drained of color. Gavin didn't look at her again, as if she were mere dust. He bent down and looked at Anthony. "Did she pick on you guys just now?" Anthony puffed out his little chest and pointed at Ella. "She called my sister a cheapskate." Gavin's gaze shifted to the little girl, who was now scared stiff. Ella burst into tears with a loud wah. Cora quickly covered her daughter's mouth and bowed repeatedly to Gavin. "I'm so sorry, President Gavin. I'm so sorry. She's just a child who doesn't know any better. We'll leave right away. We'll leave immediately." She practically dragged her sobbing daughter away, fleeing the playground in disarray under countless disdainful, astonished, and probing stares. Gavin straightened up. His gaze fell on my face, tinged with a hint of questioning. I ignored him, bending down to untie the straps binding the children's feet. "Come on, let's go home." Taking one child in each hand, I turned and walked away. "Sophia." Gavin called after me. I didn't stop. "The sports day isn't over yet," he said. "I'm done with it," I replied without turning back. With the two little ones in tow, I glanced back at Gavin every few steps. "Mommy." Alice called softly. "Home," I said firmly. Stepping out of the schoolyard gate, Gavin's car glided silently to a stop by the roadside. The window rolled down. "Get in," he said, looking at me. "I'll give you a ride." "No thanks," I replied, pulling the child toward the curb to hail a taxi. "Sophia," his voice came from inside the car, "running away won't solve anything. The child needs a father." A taxi pulled up. I yanked open the door and shoved the child inside. What they need is a father who truly loves them, not a CEO. I closed the car door, blocking his view. The vehicle merged into traffic. In the rearview mirror, the black phantom lingered for a moment before slowly pulling away. The cabin fell silent. Alice looked at me cautiously. "Mommy, are you angry?" "No." I squeezed her little hand. "Mommy," Anthony leaned in and whispered, "actually, Uncle Gavin seemed okay just now." I looked out the window, my mind in turmoil. The storm unleashed by the revelation of my Felicity identity was fiercer than I'd imagined. The editor's phone was blowing up. Countless film companies, publishers, and advertisers were trying to reach me. Reporters began staking out the entrance to the residential complex. Online, rumors flooded the internet that Felicity was actually Sophia, and that the child's father was suspected to be Gavin, the wealthiest man in the country. I was forced to take leave, too afraid to send my child to kindergarten. "We've stockpiled enough food at home. Life feels like being trapped on a deserted island." One evening, the doorbell rang. On the video intercom screen appeared Gavin's face, with its sharp, angular features. Anthony and Alice exchanged a glance. Anthony rushed over and pressed the open door button. "Brother!" I couldn't stop him in time. The door opened. Gavin walked in, carrying a supermarket shopping bag. "Uncle Gavin." Alice ran toward him happily. Gavin set the bag down and bent down to give her a hug, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Anthony stood nearby, nodding like a little adult. "Uncle Gavin." Gavin looked at me. "I came to see the child." I replied coldly, "You've seen him. You can leave now." "Has Daddy eaten yet?" Alice asked, tilting her little face up. Gavin paused. "Not yet." "Then Daddy should stay for dinner." Alice tugged at his hand and looked at me. "Mommy, is that okay?" Gavin's gaze also fell on my face, tinged with a hint of questioning. "Whatever." I turned and walked into the kitchen. Out of sight, out of mind. In the kitchen, I washed and chopped vegetables. The door pushed open. Gavin's tall frame squeezed into the space, making it feel instantly cramped. "I'll help," he said, rolling up the sleeves of his expensive shirt. "What do you need me to do?" He was already at the sink. "Get out." I didn't even look up. He stood motionless. A moment passed in silence. "That agreement from back then," he suddenly spoke, his voice low, "I've looked into it." My hand froze. "That agreement wasn't for you to participate in some medical experiment." He studied my tense profile. "It was an illegal surrogacy arrangement orchestrated by someone within the family using my name." My heart lurched. "Who?" "My second uncle." Gavin's voice was icy. He wanted to use a child with my blood to control me. He was the one who leaked the news about your grandmother's illness to Tom. That agreement? He forged it. Tom, he was used. I slowly turned to face him. Back then, Tom, he didn't know the agreement was forged. Gavin's gaze sharpened. But he shouldn't have handled it on his own, using money to get rid of you. I've taken care of him. Handled? My heart sank. Transferred to the African branch, Gavin said flatly. As for my uncle, all his shares have been frozen. Soon, he'll receive a court summons. He spoke calmly. But I knew there must have been a storm brewing behind the scenes. So, I tugged at the corner of my mouth, a hint of sarcasm in my voice. Mr. Gavin got to the bottom of it. And then what? A belated apology? Gavin took a step closer. The kitchen light fell on his deep-set eyes. I'm sorry, Sophia, his voice was low and clear, for all the injustice and pain you've endured these past 5 years. I turned my face away. My nose stung a little. And, he paused, his tone unusually solemn, thank you. I looked at him in surprise. Thank you for keeping the children. His gaze was deep, as if it could pull you in. For raising them so well. That's my child, I whispered. Mine too, he said firmly. I'll do everything I can to make it up to you both. Only the sound of running water filled the kitchen. A long time passed. The food's going to burn, I said. Gavin paused for a moment, then the corners of his mouth seemed to lift ever so slightly. I'll stir fry. He reached for the spatula. You can do it? I can learn. He stepped up to the stove, his movements a bit awkward, but his posture was as if he were negotiating a multi-million-dollar deal. Alice poked her little head into the kitchen. Daddy. Mommy says we can't be picky eaters. Gavin's hand holding the spatula froze. Okay, he replied, his tone sounding stiff. I watched his stern profile as he tied on my floral apron. Suddenly, I found it rather amusing. Too much salt, I reminded him. Oh. He stopped immediately. The flame was too high. Good. Alice giggled, Daddy's so silly. Anthony peeked in from the doorway, a hint of a smile touching his little face. At the dinner table. 4 dishes and a soup. The presentation was nothing special. Gavin served Alice some greens. Alice scrunched up her little face, Daddy, I don't like this. Gavin paused, looking at me. I kept my head down eating, pretending not to notice. Alice, Gavin's voice was as gentle as he could manage, though it still carried a hint of sternness, make sure you eat a balanced meal. Alice pouted. Anthony silently picked the greens from his sister's bowl and placed them in his own. Brother will eat them. After dinner, Gavin got up to clear the table. His movements were still a bit clumsy. Dad, let me wash the dishes. Anthony offered. No need, Gavin said, rolling up his sleeves. I'll do it. The sound of running water and the soft clinking of dishes filled the kitchen. Alice leaned against me, gazing toward the kitchen, and whispered, Mom, Dad doesn't seem quite so scary anymore. I stroked her head. The phone rang. It was Editor Blair. My treasure-hunting sister. Blair's voice was so excited it was almost breaking. Great news. Absolutely fantastic news. Your work, Chronicles of the Stars, has been nominated for the Most Adaptable Award at the Galaxy Annual IP Awards. The invitation has been sent to your email. You absolutely must attend. This is prime exposure. Galaxy Annual IP Awards. The Oscars of the online literature world. I'm not going. I flatly refused. Don't. Blair protested urgently. This opportunity is incredibly rare. Countless big names are desperate to get in. The organizers specifically requested your attendance. Plus, Starry Pictures, a subsidiary of the Fu Group, is the main sponsor. Their CEO is reportedly attending in person to discuss copyrights with you. The offer will definitely satisfy you. Gavin again. No way. I was firm. Blair was on the verge of tears. Please, I'm begging you. Just show up. Otherwise, I'll lose my job as an editor. I hung up. The sound of running water in the kitchen ceased. Gavin emerged, water droplets still clinging to his hands. Need something? He asked. Nothing, I replied, rising. It's getting late. Please head back, Mr. Gavin. He stared at me, motionless. The Galaxy Gala, I want you to go, he said suddenly. I frowned. You were eavesdropping on my call? Blair reached out to me first. Gavin explained, she was worried you wouldn't agree to attend and hoped I could persuade you. Not necessary. Sophia, Gavin took a step closer. Felicity is the empire you built with your own strength. You should stand where you belong. His gaze was open and earnest. Taking care of the children is my responsibility. But your achievements are your own shining light. Don't give up the glory you deserve just because you hate me. I don't hate you. I instinctively retorted. Then why are you afraid to go? He countered. I was at a loss for words. Mom, Anthony suddenly spoke up, I want to see Mom receive the award. Alice rushed over too, Mom's the best. Please go, Mom. I looked into the two little ones' sparkling eyes. Then I looked into Gavin's deep, piercing gaze. Somewhere deep inside, something seemed to shift. Galaxy Annual IP Gala. The red carpet unfurled, ablaze with starlight. Spotlights flickered, camera shutters clicked in rapid succession. I wore the simplest black satin gown, my face adorned only with light makeup. Felicity makes an appearance. This explosive news instantly ignites the venue. Countless cameras turn toward me. The host excitedly announces, let's welcome the author of this year's most adaptable work, Star Era, the mysterious web novel master, Felicity. Thunderous applause erupted. I stepped onto the center of the stage. The spotlight glared into my eyes, momentarily blinding me. The auditorium was packed to capacity. The front rows were filled with industry heavyweights, renowned directors, and celebrities. I spotted Gavin seated in the center of the front row. He sat tall, his gaze fixed calmly upon me. Taking the heavy crystal trophy, the host handed me the microphone. Felicity, it's such an honor to finally meet you in person. I'm thrilled. Could you share your thoughts on this moment with everyone? Also, everyone's really curious, why have you always kept such a low profile? I held the microphone. My palms were slightly sweaty. The audience fell silent. Countless eyes were focused on me. Thank you, my voice echoed through the speakers across the venue. Receiving this award is both unexpected and an honor. I paused, my gaze sweeping across the audience. As for maintaining an air of mystery, I began slowly, my tone calm, it's simply because I want to protect the people who matter most to me, allowing them to live the most ordinary lives possible. Writing is my passion, but life itself is the very foundation of my work. Understanding applause rippled through the audience. The host was about to ask another question when I suddenly spotted Gavin in the front row. He stood up, striding confidently onto the stage with his long legs, drawing surprised stares from everyone. The spotlight followed him. He walked over to me. He took the microphone from the host's hand with effortless ease. The host was stunned. The entire venue erupted in commotion. Gavin turned to me. In the spotlight, his profile was ridiculously handsome. Sophia, he began, his voice deep and commanding, echoing through the entire hall via the microphone, I'm sorry I'm late. The hall fell instantly silent. Everyone held their breath. He looked at me, his gaze focused and profound, these past 5 years, you've shouldered too much alone. As a man, I failed in my duty. As a father, I was absent. His voice wasn't loud, but every word was clear. Sophia, thank you. Thank you for giving me 2 angelic children. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the stunned crowd below the stage. And thank you for helping me see my own heart. He took a step closer to me. A stifled gasp rippled through the audience. My heart pounded like a drum as I looked at him. I know the pain of the past can't be erased, he said, his gaze locked on mine, each word deliberate and solemn. But every day from now on, I want to prove it through my actions. Sophia, give me a chance. Let me love you. Let me be with you, with the children. For the rest of my life. The venue fell so silent you could hear a pin drop. The next second, thunderous applause and screams nearly shook the roof off. Flashes went off wildly, capturing this explosive moment. I stood at center stage, still clutching the cold trophy in my hand. Gazing at the man before me, the focus of everyone's attention. In his eyes, there was only me. No scheming, no overbearing presence. Only a pure, open-hearted sincerity and a cautious, hopeful anticipation. 5 years of grievances, anger, struggle, and resilience. In this moment, it felt like I'd found an outlet to release it all. I didn't answer. I just looked at him. Then, under the breathless gaze of everyone present, slowly, I reached out my hand to him. His broad, warm palm immediately clasped mine tightly. Our fingers interlocked. The audience erupted in even more enthusiastic applause and cheers. Under the spotlight, he lowered his head and whispered softly in my ear. Home? I nodded. Yes, home. Several months later. Saturday. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Toys were scattered across the living room carpet. Alice was drawing a princess, while Anthony was building a complex Lego spaceship. In the kitchen, Gavin wore his familiar floral apron, his brow slightly furrowed as he studied the recipe on his tablet. A spoonful of salt, he muttered, picking up the seasoning bottle and carefully pouring just a tiny bit. I leaned against the kitchen doorway, watching him. The former Food Corporation CEO, the ruthless and decisive tycoon of the business world. Now, he was stumped by an apron and a pot of braised pork. It's overcooked, I reminded him. He immediately turned down the heat. His movements still carried that clumsy earnestness. Daddy. Alice ran in holding her drawing. Look what I drew. This is Daddy, this is Mommy, this is me and my brother. She stood on tiptoe and pointed to a tiny figure in swaddling clothes. This is my little sister. Gavin's hand trembled, nearly dropping the spatula. He stiffly turned to look at me. I raised an eyebrow. Alice, there's no little sister in Mommy's tummy. Not yet, Alice blinked her big eyes, her face innocent. If Daddy tries hard, won't there be one? Gavin. Anthony walked in clutching his toy spaceship, his little face serious. Dad, do your best. Gavin took a deep breath and shoved the spatula into my hand. You come. His tone was decisive, tinged with a barely perceptible awkwardness. I'll handle some paperwork in the study. Watching his retreating figure, which was almost a hasty escape, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. In the pot, braised pork simmers and bubbles. The aroma fills the air. The taste of home. The sun is warm and cozy. So good.